Hey guys, welcome to this little live, whether it's Facebook or YouTube that you're watching on. If you can just let us know whether you can hear me or not, the sound and everything will come on. So you should be able to hear me. So just let me know. I've got the ability just to put your names and comments up on the screen, and I'll do that throughout. So if you've got questions or anything like that, then you can just fire away and I'll answer them questions. So I've got a couple of things going on right now, which I'm going to talk about. And I'm pretty sure there may be a couple of questions about my recent 100-miler video. If you've not seen that, you'll see it on my YouTube channel, 100 miles in less than 24 hours. A load of questions put in the comments. So I'm pretty sure we're going to get a few questions on that. And I'm also going to talk a little bit about the current challenges that I'm doing sort of this week and next week. So here we go. So running crazy. Yes, I assume that's you can hear me. All right. Hey Craig, how you doing? Thanks for joining me. He's saying it's all good. Sound is good. Brilliant. Someone's saying hey up. So I'm not sure who that is. If you're on Facebook, then you need to give the software that I'm using, which is StreamYard, permission to share your name. Okay, so just follow the link wherever you're watching this, and then I'll be able to see your name. If not, just put your name afterwards so I know who I'm kind of talking to. Running with Mark, how you doing? Hey, is it cold indoors? No, it's not. But I've got this thing at the minute where I'm just bloody cold all the time. So it's actually quite warm in this office. But as a little bit of a comfort thing, I've got my little down jacket, and I think it's also a bit of a throwback to things like the MDS, the for Rangers Ultra and all that. In the evening, you've finished your running for that day, and you kind of get your dry kit on. And I always have a little down jacket wherever I am, and I put my little down jacket on. I feel like I'm on one of those multi-day ultras at the minute, so I've got my little down jacket on. Dixie's with us. Dixie is my running coach. If anybody's looking for a running coach or even advice, then get in touch with Dixie. A phenomenal athlete in his own right, but also a really, really good guy. I can't say enough about Dixie. And I mentioned the 100-miler race that I did back end of last year. And what doesn't come across in the film is that I honestly believe if push come to shove, I could have either knocked 2 hours off the time or done another 20 miles. Now, I'm not saying it would have been easy, but I think it's in there, and that is down to Dixie. So thanks for joining us today, Si. Hi, son. That can only be Andy Millichamp, friend of mine. How you doing? It's squaddy dress. Yeah, it is. Yeah, I've got my desert boots on underneath here as well. Al Bounds, good friend of mine. How you doing? Some of you may be a little bit confused about the name Butch. Butch was my nickname in the Marines. I don't get it very often, but when I do hear it, it just gives me a little bit of a flutter, especially when it's from a legend like Al. Thanks for joining us, Al. Hope you're good, mate. Amanda, sending you my love. Thank you very much, Amanda. Hope you're good. Bet you got walking trousers on as well. No, I've got tracky bottoms on tonight, but yeah, I'd normally have some walking trousers. A Facebook user saying, how are you doing? Brilliant. Okay, so I've got, Al's just saying, I make you flutter, lol. So I've not really got that much of an agenda, things to talk about today, but I just wanted to go live. One, to plug the current challenge that I'm doing. I don't do a lot for service charities. If anybody knows anything about my past, there was a time when I fell on hard times and I was really struggling. And I reached out to a couple of service charities, and in my mind, actually got massively let down because of a load of politics and a few other things. And granted, some of it was because of my own choices and the things that I'd done myself. But I still feel there was room for me to get a bit of help, and I didn't get it. So for a long time, I've kind of stayed away from service charities, and until now. So I've got a friend of mine who's sort of leading the Green Yeti team, reached out and said, look, can you help get people ready for some of these endurance events with my own history and experience? And that sort of led to me being involved with the challenges. And I'm actually quite proud now to be raising money for the Royal Marines charity. And they do some incredible work. It wasn't the Royal Marines charity that I reached out to. If you really kind of tried to guess. I'm pretty sure which service charities it were that let me down. But yeah, I'm really proud to be raising money for them. By the way, I will in the links share a link to the donation page. We've actually our goal is to reach £10,000, and we're a third of the way already on day one. So that's really, really good. But any bit of spare change can really help. The Royal Marines charity. Last thing I'll say on it is they help Royal Marines and the Royal Marines and family of Royal Marines that are struggling at times of challenge. Okay, so it's a really good charity. No, it's not your mate, it's your mum. Hello, mum. How are you doing? Thanks for joining us. I'll try and keep it clean. Gilly, how are you doing? Evening, Butch. You're a legend. Back at you, mate. You're a legend as well. I've been checking out your Instagram and stuff like that. You are looking freaking strong, mate. So thanks for commenting and good effort. Keep up what you're doing. How are you doing, Des? Who's that? Craig, what's your diet for your current challenge? My diet, what I normally do when I'm getting ready for these kind of events is I try and get as fat adapted as I can. I basically need every bit of help I can get because I'm not a regular trainer and I'm always carrying a few extra pounds and all this kind of stuff. So I try and get as fat adapted as I can. This has come up so quick. And with lockdown, everyone has put a few pounds on, it seems, during lockdown. And it's come up so quick that I haven't really been able to do that. So what I'm doing is it's a bit of a fine line between making sure I've got enough energy to do the half marathon a day. And by the way, I know for some people that doesn't sound a great deal, but I've basically got half a marathon a day. And then on Friday the 13th, I'm going for 100K. I'm going to do so it's about 62 mile or whatever it is on Friday. So there'll be a lot of accumulative fatigue. I've already got a couple of little niggles. That's kind of the challenge. And then I've got a couple of half marathons for a few days after that to make sure I hit the mileage. So my diet at the minute, most mornings we've got chickens now. So I'm having fresh eggs with either avocado, a little bit of whole grain toast. So what have I got after that? Lunch today was... What did I have for lunch today? Can't remember what I had for lunch today. Oh, do you know, I literally had a cup of soup and a cheese and ham bloody panini today, which, brilliant, but it was just on the go because it's pretty full on. And then I've not had anything tonight other than I'm sort of halfway through a recovery shake, which I'm really struggling with to get down. And then I'll have some light dinner tonight. And what I'm saying is it's a fine line between fueling what I'm doing and also just being in a slight calorie deficit because I do need to shift a few pounds just to make this running easier for when I get up to this the bigger mileage on Friday the 13th. So hopefully that explains it. Liz, you'd probably be surprised. You might be expecting some really fandangled diet. It's probably a bit too late for that now. It's just about keeping a steady supply of calories going into the body. And then, I've just had some Alpen as well with some full fat milk. So yeah, that's pretty much it really. Yeah. Tell me if that answers your question. Does it sound like Yelp for zeros? I don't understand that. Have I missed something? Yes, got you. That's one of them. Yeah, definitely. And you obviously know a little bit about that kind of stuff. But yeah, you're definitely on the right tracks. Gilly saying, cheers, buddy. What's the challenge, Craig? Yeah, so the challenge I'm doing at the minute, we're basically doing, there's a team of mainly former Royal Marines. Let me see if I can bring up a little picture of the team here. And I'll just talk you through a couple of the members of the team. Where is it? Grand tab. Here we go. Okay, so this is the comment there. So this is the Green Yeti 2021 Challenge Facebook page. Get yourself over, give it a like and follow it. Basically, there's a load of legends. So starting off with this guy called Andy Merry. You'll recognize this building behind him. Is this getting shared? Yes, it is, yeah. You'll recognize this building behind him. That is the Tower of London. Andy Merry is a beef eater. And not only that, he has MS. Okay. And he's part of the team. And he kicked off this morning. He started us off. He managed 4K, which 4K with MS makes everything, even the 62 miler on Friday, just completely insignificant. You know, he's really had to dig deep for that, and he's going to be doing whatever kilometers he can throughout the week. Okay, so he's part of the team. Now there is a picture with all the team members here, which I'm gonna here we go. I'm gonna try and bring this up so that you can see. Here it is. I don't know how to make that bigger. Okay, so first of all, Baz Gray. Baz Gray, he's been on the telly a few times recently, doing like Shackleton. He's a former mountain leader in the Royal Marines. He was on the same couple of courses as me, an absolute Arctic legend. He's on the team. Jamie Miles, again, former Royal Marine. He's the leader of the team. He's kind of heading everything up, and it was his crazy idea. Some little fat bloke from Yorkshire. Will, I don't know a great deal about, or Mark, other than I know Mark is a world record holder. Andy McFarlane, who I think we first met up in 4-5. Eddie Bootnecks that's watching. May name. Sam Mortimer again. I don't know. I think he's a current saving Royal Marine. I don't know a great deal about him, but he's part of the team. And then we've got Roger Thompson, Marty Small. Interesting facts about Marty is he was one of my section commanders in training. He took me through the last stages of training, through the Final X and the commando tests and everything. So it's quite nostalgic to have him on the team as well. And then Andy Merry, I've already been talking about. So what we're doing is we're doing a series of challenges. Let me bring my face back up. Where we're doing, we were supposed to be doing a triple ascent of Snowdon, the 3 different routes up Snowdon within 12 hours. Tough little challenge, okay? Because of COVID, we couldn't do that. So we wanted to do something as like a bit of a training evolution. So we decided we was going to do a virtual Land's End to John O'Groats as a team, so 10 of us, over 10 days. Okay, so that's what we're doing right now. Each one of us has got to do around half marathon a day in order to meet the mileage. Okay, so that's the current trip, the current challenge. So it's good to get things going, raise a bit of money, but it is like a training thing as well. Other stuff that we're doing, all this will culminate then in summiting Mont Blanc in June time, as long as travel and everything is permitted. So that's what we're doing. That's the challenge. The challenge on Friday is a separate race from a race company called UltraX. The runners out there will know what I'm talking about, and the race is called Dawn Till Dusk. It's a 12-hour race from 6 in the morning till 6 at night, and you basically run as far as you can as a team. There's a team of 3 of us in that 12 hours. So I'm aiming for about 100 kilometers, maybe more, seeing how I feel. Liz, thank you. No, I wasn't just interested in the diet. Brilliant. Running Crazy. Right, Running Crazy. What is your actual name? Because I'm struggling to call you Running Crazy. So tell me your actual name, because I know you commented on my YouTube channel as well. So let me know. Running with Mark, related challenges and adventures. How far in advance do you usually plan them? Are some ad hoc? I really struggle to plan anything beyond a year. So what I will tend to do is, as the year is sort of drawing in, I'm kind of thinking, right, okay, let's map this year out, and how is it going to look? Now, this is my diary at the minute. Each block is a challenge or a event. I mean, I do a load of other stuff, from canoe trips, like 100-mile canoe trips down the River Severn, canoe trips in Sweden. I was supposed to do ski tours, Mark, you know this. I was supposed to do a 200k ski tour in northern Sweden, and on the Kungsleden, loads of other bits and bobs. And it's absolutely jam-packed. And so I never really plan more than sort of 12 months out, which is good at the minute because, you know, I don't get overwhelmed with stuff. The downside is that the real big challenges kind of get left out. Like last year, I set a challenge. I was going to go for a world record, the most consecutive marathons, or most marathons on consecutive days carrying 20 pounds of kit. And it was going to be well over 40 days. And I just, because it's a big event and I only planned 12 months ahead, I'm struggling to find the time to do it. So, that's the downside. I miss out on those big events. But other than that, yeah, I just sort of plan the year and away I go. Some are ad hoc. You'll know this, Mark. I have been invited to come and do a couple of races and a couple of different events already, sort of through YouTube and that kind of stuff. So, and I'll have a stab at some, and I'll go to some just so I can get some. I can make a little film or something like that. But yeah, that's basically it. Liz, how you doing? You're inspiring me to run more. Brilliant, and you are doing phenomenal. Well done. Good effort on your runs, especially when you go out for like a 5 miler and end up doing 13 or whatever it is. I'm still serving Royal Welsh, mate. Been in 70 years, hanging on for my pension. Yeah, good effort. I hats off to anybody that does more than sort of 15 years. You're pretty serious at it there. So good effort. Gilly, 30 miles on a banana and a buses corners pasty. Is this challenge going out live? Which challenge? Which challenge are you talking about, Gilly? The one I'm doing right now. Basically, I'm splitting it down and I'm posting little pictures and updates and what have you. But I'm not really doing like a full on live video. I might do for the 100K so people can sort of tune in and watch and see what's happening. Nicola's saying that's hard. How you doing, Nicola? It'll be good. Lee, okay, brilliant. Cheers, Lee. Because I was struggling with running crazy. Nice to meet you, Lee, by the way. Jim, how you doing? Awesome work, Butch. Yeah. Cheers, mate. Hope you're good. Thanks for commenting. How long did you serve and what did you do for a living? What do you do for a living now, Craig? So I did just under 13 years in the Marines, and then I was booted out. I left, and then I kind of got into the health, fitness, wellness industry. First of all, as a freelance personal trainer. And then that developed into like residential boot camps. So I run residential boot camps. People come from all over the world, all different walks of life, every week of the year, up to 30 or 40 people to lose weight and get fit. We have a country manor house in Shropshire, and that's kind of our main day to day. On the back of that, I also have a small marketing agency where I handle a couple of clients, digital marketing, which is a bit of fun. And then as well as that, I do kind of my own, I'm working on my own sort of YouTube stuff and kind of slowly building that up. So Gilly's saying, yes, the current one. Yeah, like I said, I'm going to do little updates every day as I'm doing the mileage and everything. And if I get a chance where I can do like a bit of a, like a constant Facebook Live, or come up with like an interesting way of doing that day's mileage, then I'll put it out live and you can have a little comment. Nicola saying, I always look to you for inspiration, mate. Thanks, Nicola. That means a lot. One of the reasons why I got into like multi-day ultras is because I wanted to write a book, and just because it's one of those things, isn't it? Everyone sort of says, "Oh, I nearly wrote a book. I nearly did this. I nearly did," and I was like, "Well, yeah." I don't want to be the one of them people that said, "Oh, I nearly wrote a book," and I wanted to write a book. I've actually wrote 4 books now, but one of the first books I wrote, I was like, "What the fucking hell am I going to write about?" And I knew I wanted to kind of inspire people, so I thought, right, okay, I'll do something stupid. And I always wanted to do the Marathon des Sables across the Sahara, and I thought, right, I'll do that. And as is the pattern with everything that I do, mega undertrained, not ready for it at all, but went out and finished in the top 25% of everybody that was running. And it boiled down to the fact that the Marines gave me a good enough foundation to look after myself in the desert, and also dig deep and grit in when I needed to. So and then that's kind of how I got into it, and it was that drive to inspire people that really fueled that. So to read that and to get some of the comments that I've had on my 100-miler video and that kind of stuff is just phenomenal for me. Because it wasn't too long ago, I was I was I was in the gutter, and I honestly thought nobody gave two shits about me. So to think that I'm inspiring people now is massive for me. So thank you very much. Nicholas saying, all good here, mate. Girls growing up fast. I bet they are. I bet they are growing up pretty rapido. Busy man, fair play. Amazing. Right, so we've got pretty much to the end of them comments there. If you've got anything you want me to speak about specifically, then fire away. I can do, we can do as long as people want, as long as the comments are coming through. I'm going to try and do one of these daily lives every day if I can, until people either get bored of it or I just can't fit it into, if I can't fit it into the day, because I've got a load of stuff to sort out as we get ready to kind of open again after lockdown. Right, Ever's saying, how did your feet look after 100 miles? I'm struggling to increase the mileage. Let me split that into two. So when you say I'm struggling to increase the mileage, what is going on there? Because that could be an indication of what you need to kind of work on. Is it your mind that goes? Is it your legs that go? Is it your heart and lungs that seem to go? Is it the aches and pains? Could it be a nutrition or a hydration thing? So just have a little think about, around that, what happens? Have you got a mental block at a certain mileage? And then, let me know and let's see what we do with that. And how did your feet look after 100 miles? Do you know what? They weren't that bad. I have been plagued with blisters and badly bruised feet and battered feet, pretty much all. I've got really flat feet for a start, so I'm like a penguin running down the road. When I joined the Marines, they measure you for everything, and they measured me for shoes, and for some reason they said, right, you're a 9, okay. So I had in my head that, right, okay, I'm a 9. So every pair of shoes that I buy now is a 9. Now we all know that shoes, they might all be 9, but they're all slightly differently sized. As well as that, it turns out actually I'm a 10. So I've been wearing like shoes and trainers that were just way too small for 25 years. And that really took its toll. This when it came to this run, I'd worked out a lot. I'd worked out that my feet were not actually a size 9. I'd worked out that I needed a wider fitting. I always thought that I couldn't wear socks like the Injinji toe socks. If anyone sees them, like little funky little socks where they go around your toes and help prevent blisters. I've started wearing them now on anything that I do beyond 20 miles. I always tape my feet up anyway to prevent sort of hot spots and blisters. I did lose every toenail eventually. I lost 2 during the event that I had to kind of pull out, and the rest of them kind of fell out, or I pulled them out sort of watching telly, much to the disgust of my wife and son, in the weeks after the event. All in all, I was in a pretty decent state after 100 miler, apart from being just completely like dommed up. Most people know about DOMS, delayed onset muscle soreness, the aches and pains you get after like pushing yourself. And I was very, very dommed up. I couldn't get off the freaking bed or the toilet and all that kind of stuff for a few days. Brilliant, Mark. Have to go, but can't wait to see more from this challenge. Brilliant, Mark. Thanks for tuning in, mate. Hope you're well out there in Finland. Eva saying blisters and hotspots. Yeah, like I said, I had a few blisters and hotspots. It's funny. The blister that caused me the most problem was a tiny little blister on my little toe. It was just, because where it is, that really hurt. But other than that, it weren't that bad. I've certainly had worse feet. When I did the Arctic, when I ran 230k across the Arctic last year, afterwards my feet were like just completely ballooned and I couldn't fit into my shoes. So definitely had worse. Molly's saying, how do you stay injury free? I don't often stay injury free. I read a statistic not long ago that 70% of runners on a start line are carrying an injury. And I think it just kind of comes with the territory. One thing that has helped massively, though, is getting a coach with Dixie, if he's still watching, and, learning proper running technique. You would think, running is a basic human function and, you wouldn't have to learn it, but there is an efficient way of running. And I was plagued with a lot of injuries, especially around the ankles and the calves, until I started to work on my running technique and become much more efficient. That's kind of the biggest one. Other than that, warming up correctly. I just do about 10, 15 minutes with a massage gun. Actually, this massage gun is phenomenal, by the way. I was sent this to kind of review. It's so quiet compared to the others. And the battery power and everything is just phenomenal, and actually a bit smaller. So I'll be doing a little review on that. But yeah, that's one of the biggest things. Right, Ricky, here we go. Did your ginger hair hinder your performance? Yeah, having ginger hair hinders your performance in everything you do. Nobody wants to run with the ginger. Nobody wants to talk to the ginger. Nobody wants to associate with it. It just hinders everything that you do. So thanks for your input there, Ricky, who's my brother-in-law. If anyone's interested, you can all troll him. Get on there and troll him. Nicholas saying, this is why I always pick your brain whenever I'm doing anything above half. Yeah. And feel free, reach out, ask. I'm always willing to help. James, thanks for the videos. Brilliant. Was wondering if you do any ultras with elevation. I'm planning on running the Dales Highway in 2 days. In May, 90 miles. Any tips? I haven't done anything with a lot of elevation, but I am sort of driven to do more mountain type stuff now, to work on leg strength. There was a bit of elevation in the Marathon des Sables. Some of the sand dunes are pretty severe. Like, you just think, oh, they're kind of rolling sand dunes, but some of them are pretty big. So, but other than that, yeah, I haven't picked anything out, with some decent elevation. I was supposed to be doing an event this year called the Knoydart Highland Ultra. Is it Highland Ultra in Knoydart? Right, beautiful part of Scotland. But it was cancelled because of the way that they're lifting lockdown now, and then they've rescheduled it for later in the year. And I've got a wedding that weekend, so I can't do it. But it's definitely something that I want to do. I really like the idea of some of the races, like Spine. What's the big one in Scotland? Can't remember what it's called. The Dragon's Back, the Welsh 3000s. There's just a ton of ultras out there with some elevation that I'm really, really keen to do. So that's that. And of course, I don't know if you was on before, but I am getting ready to go up Mont Blanc later this year, and so that's about it really. But good luck on the Dales Highway. It should be good. That are you like fast packing or whatever they call it? Are you camping out, or have you got a hotel or a hostel or something like that? Hi Craig, do you have hip flexor issues? No, I don't. I don't really have too many hip flexor issues. I know some people do. I don't do a lot of work on my hip. In fact, I've got a real massive imbalance. My right hip is just so much tighter than my left hip. And I did think it was going to give me problems on like the 100-miler and some of the big runs, but it doesn't really too much. So, but if ever I do like a stretch session, I do sort of work on the hip flexors a little bit, because it's one of those things where I remember somebody saying, and when I was doing like my personal training qualifications and all that kind of stuff, that the hip flexors are the most overused and understretched muscle in the body, and that always kind of sticks with me, and so I do kind of try and work on them if I'm doing any kind of pre-ab or rehab. So I wonder, I asked James, if do you have hip flexor stuff? Graham Berry, hey up Custard, I hope you're ready for this big run next Friday, Graham. I'm not. I think we both got a few little niggles in our calves. So, but it'd be good to run with you again, mate. Quinny, how you doing? Quinny is a great friend of mine. First met him in the MDS. Then we did the Jungle Ultra in the Amazon. Then we did the Arctic Ultra in Sweden. And we're on the verge of doing another multi-day ultra out in Kenya later this year. And he knows exactly where my strengths are. And he said Craig loves hills, was a bit of like a little bit of sarcastic undertone into that. I freaking hate the hills, but it's one of those weaknesses, you know, and we've got to work on our weaknesses. So that's what I'm going to do. Yeah, he's known for his love of hills and pork pies. Lily, how do you manage long run training and family life? My partner whinges when I go out for hours. Do you know, and I said this before, you know, if someone asked me, am I on Strava? And I'm not really on Strava because I wouldn't really have a great deal to post because I don't do a lot of training and I don't, you know, I don't advocate this at all, but I probably do a lot less training than most people think. I remember they did like the Marathon des Sables Expo, if anyone's done that and been to it. And they sort of said that most people getting ready for the MDS are doing between 20 and 30 miles a week, you know, minimum. And I was like, and some people are up to like, you know, 50, 60, 70 miles a week training weeks. And I'm like, fucking hell. I need about 10, about 10 or 12. Yeah. But other than that, you know, I think it is hard when you're juggling it around your family. What I tend to do is, you know, I try and get into a decent maintenance phase where I'm just kind of ticking over until I'm sort of 6 weeks out from an event, and then I'll really kind of step it up. I'm quite lucky that I kind of work for myself, and my family likes her time as much as I love my time. So a little bit lucky like that. But I'm just not one for just getting out and just crunching the miles after miles after miles. I think the really long, you know, your long runs at the weekend, whether it's a Saturday or Sunday, and a double run at the weekend, is just so important. And after that, it's a case of like kind of ticking over. I hope that answers your question, Lily. And I'm sorry if it doesn't give you an answer, but it explains the way where I'm coming from it. James saying, where are you from, Craig? Do you like safe? You sound like you're from nine. All right, so I was born in Halifax. I didn't join the Marines, moved around all over the place with the Marines, and then we've eventually settled in Shropshire, where I've got my business. So I love it, absolutely love it. I love going home and seeing Yorkshire again, and but I love it here, and I don't think I'll ever kind of I'll go back up north again. So, yeah, I do really like it. Where are you from, James? Interested to know. Nicholas saying, during the London Marathon 2018, your advice was invaluable. The heat after being running in snow. Never forget the advice of sip, pour, sip, drink, pour, over your head, drink. Yeah. Yeah, it's mad what you kind of pick up, yeah, like different experiences and how to manage. And I always say that like ultra runs and big runs. And listen, you know, I'm no expert. I just put what I do on YouTube and people see it, and you know, and then ask me for advice. I'm not an expert at all, but you know, it is. I always say it is a series of problems to be solved. You know, so you very much learn trial and error, what works, and you know, and it's amazing what kind of experience you pick up. Graham's corrected me. Yes, you're right. It is Saturday. Let me just check in my diary. Make sure that I've got it in Saturday. Yes, I have got it in Saturday. Yeah, you're right. So anyway, I'll see you Saturday, early doors. Graham Berry, he's from Yorkshire. He should be used to it. I don't get that. I think I've missed something. What's this? Lee's laughing at me, as he always bloody does. Flossian, how you doing? Good to see you on here. Katie, Ollie said hello, Uncle Craig. Yeah, Ollie's one of my biggest viewers, my most common viewers on YouTube. Amazing little lad. And Katie, whilst I'm talking about the 100 milers, when I was on the canal on my 100 miler and I was really, really struggling, I got a couple of messages of Katie belting out these tunes, incredible voice, and it was just, well, there was an upside and a downside. The upside was it just lifted my spirits and it was just phenomenal, and I just carried on running. The downside was I then thought, bloody hell, they're in the kitchen having a glass of wine. Now I've got this bloody song stuck in my head going over and over again, and I'm stuck here. But thanks for that. It was they were really motivating. And hello, Ollie, how you doing? Plus, I never mind planning runs, plan your holidays so I can look after the goats and chickens. Yeah, don't worry, they're coming. You'll be in there. Nicholas in Halifax says hello. I do miss Halifax sometimes. Absolutely love, incredible place. I like it down here as well. I'm from Burnley, so not far. Yeah. I used to get on the Burnley bus to school, to and from school. Hills, yeah, I know. When I was getting ready to join the Marines, and I was like running up and down bloody Chewell Lane and up to Norland from Sowerby Bridge and all that, I was strong on the hills. It's just I got a bit fat and lazy in my old age, so I need to get back into it. Josh, hi mate. What was it like working with Jez Kyle? Do you know what? Yeah, I saw. Anyone that doesn't know, I did some work with Jeremy Kyle. I used to be the resident expert for extreme weight loss on the TV on the show. And I know Jeremy Kyle had some really bad press, and a lot of people that I speak to are like he's an arsehole and all this kind of stuff. But I always found him to be incredibly professional. The whole setup I found to be incredibly professional, and I'm not obliged to say that about him at all. I think the aftercare that they go through, it was just phenomenal. I've seen it. I've been getting ready to go on the show, and they've had like a certain story that's getting ready to go on, and it's all filmed live, and they've just pulled the story. They've said, no, it's just not right to put this story on the TV. And, it's obviously a sensationalist type program. They want the drama and all that. That's where they get their, the ratings from and the viewings from. And I've seen them pull, despite the fact that it would have been brilliant, like car crash TV, they've not put it on the TV. So I've got nothing but good words to say about the show, about Jeremy Kyle, about Graham, who's a psychologist on the show. They were just really, really good. And I think he's a really clever bloke in that, it is his job, one, to rile up the audience, and two, to rile up the guests. And I think that's missed sometimes when people are like, he's just arrogant and he's all that. Well, no, he's just playing a really good role, and I thought it was really good, and I thought it was a shame. And I thought from all the years that it's been on the TV, that they had one sort of serious problem, and they pulled the show. And I thought it was a shame, but it was good. So good question, thanks, Richard McGuinness. My God, how are you doing? Richard, I think the last time I saw you was probably in one of the nightclubs in Halifax, and you'd gone off and joined the army. So it's good to see you. Got back in touch on Facebook. So good to hear from you, mate. My God, everyone's coming out of the pain work. Dave, how are you doing? Saying good to see you. Laughed my head off this morning seeing you or Crack Sparrow this morning. I just absolute state. I don't know what was up with me. Dunks, how you doing? Hope you're good, mate. I think you're up there in Edinburgh now, aren't you? So, yeah, good to hear from you, mate, and look after yourself. Graham saying he's on the right side of Hebden Bridge, Craig, Red Rose County. Yeah, I know, that's the divide, isn't it? Burnley's over in the dark side. Okay, so I'm gonna hang around. We've done like about 40 odd minutes now. If you've got more questions, then fire away, even if it's silly ones like Ricky's. Do you ever suffer from jogger's nipple? No, I don't, because I always, you'll like to hear this, I always shave around my nipples and then put some medical tape on there to stop it from happening. So I've learned from experience to avoid jogger's nipple at all costs. So it's a thing. And you can also get jogger's bloody winkle. There's a different name for it, but you can get like jogger's winkle, which Graham got not long ago, and you can testify to how painful it can be. All right, like I said, I'm gonna do a little Facebook Live like this every night. I'm happy to talk about if you've got fitness, weight loss related questions, running related questions. I'll give you a little bit of an update on how the challenge is going. Basically, today I've actually done like nearly 14 miles today, but I didn't start my watch until I was like a mile and a half into the run. So technically, I can't really count that. So I've done around my half marathon today. Same again tomorrow. Because it's the weekend, I'm going to do all the mileage in one go. Today I split it up. I split the run up, so I bookend the day. So I'm going to do all the mileage in one go on Saturday. Same again on Sunday. Keep doing the half marathons up until Wednesday morning, where I'll do about a 10 or a 12 miler, and then 2 days rest before the 100k race on the Saturday. So that's basically how it's going, and I'll give you a little bit of an update as it's going on. So I've got a blister on my big toe already. I've got a strain in my right calf, and I've got some weird ache in my left ankle. Feels like it's like it's inflamed or whatever. But basically, what I'm doing is I've got this voodoo band, this resistance band, and all I keep doing is just like wrapping this around really tight on the areas where it's sore, just to squeeze all the blood out. Leave it on for about 10, 12 seconds. Take this off, and then you get a fresh flow of good blood into the injured then just to kind of promote healing and that kind of stuff. And I'm doing a few other bits and bobs. So if you wanted to know more about my recovery and that kind of stuff, then just let us know. I'll probably talk about that tomorrow if people are interested. So Graham's saying wetsuit balm for joggers winkle, compression shirt for nipples. Yeah, everyone's got their own little thing about joggers nipple, because it is serious. It can cripple you. Crippled by jogger's nipple. Right, I'm going to wrap this up then, guys. Thank you very much for tuning on this first one. Have a good evening. Like I said, I'll do similar kind of Facebook Live tomorrow. What's this coming through here? Nick saying advice when number 2 comes knocking halfway through a run. Do you know? Yeah, I mean, it happens, doesn't it? There's not a lot you can do to kind of prevent it. It's one of those things, you know. And one of my most vivid memories of the Marathon Disables, and the people that was on this that have seen this, that have been there and done that, they will have seen this as well. But I remember running with not long sets off, probably about 10k into the Marathon Disables, and there was a woman in front of me, and she suddenly stopped at the side of the took like 2 steps off at the side of in the middle of the desert. There's no bushes to get behind or anything like that. 2 steps off the track, dropped her shorts, and then just like projectile crapped, you know, and it shot out that far that when afterwards she stood up, turned around to have a look at it, and couldn't find it. It's just gone that far. So sometimes, you know, it really just is one of those things. It doesn't happen often to me, but I've got friends who it kicks in pretty regularly. So it's just about a case of like being a little bit aware of you and your own body, and being, you know, and kind of being ready for it, really. So yeah, but it is a bit of a metaphorical and literal pain in the ass. Sean Collins saying, I love you. Love you back. Hope you're good. Dave, if you PM me, mate, with your address, I can send you some of my CBD oil, great for recovery. Yeah, I've heard good things about that. So yeah, I'll definitely try that out. Dave, by the way, is a little fun fact. One time I nearly drowned in the jungle. Dave, I don't know if you can remember this, in Belize, and we were moving up this river, and I started getting dragged under the water because of the weight of my kit and everything. And honestly, my life literally flashed before my eyes. I thought I was a goner, and Dave pulled me out. So Dave saved me from drowning. Thanks, Dave. Thanks for that. Love to you and Paula. Thanks, Nicola. I'll pass that on. Katie, thank you, Craig. We all want to come and see you and Paul as soon as we can. Yeah, and the goats and chickens. Ollie will absolutely love the goats. I don't know if Finley's a bit young for him, but I think he'll kind of understand what they are and what have you. So, yeah, it'd be good to see you. Not long now, you know, not long now. Jenny, do you offer running coaching? Not really. I mean, part of my day-to-day stuff, I do a lot of coaching. I don't really see myself as being very good at it. I'm quite happy to answer questions and offer advice and that kind of stuff. If anybody asks about running coaching, I always recommend Cy Dix, who I think certainly was on this earlier on. But if you're really interested, then get in touch with him. He's the guy that I get all my sort of ultra running coaching from. Other than that, like I said, just drop me a line, or in some bookshops you'll be able to find my book on ultra running, which I'm currently revising. So yeah, I don't offer coaching. Maybe I will in the future. But I just don't see myself as a running coach. I see myself as a little bit of a dabble in runs and go and do some pretty serious ones and just freaking hang in there by the skin of my teeth, really. But Dave's saying yes, he does remember. Mate, I was gone. I was underneath, drowned, sucking in water. So you definitely saved my life. Kate, do you live on a farm? No, we've got since lockdown, we've got a little bit of a land and a bit of a barn and that, and we just got 2 little pygmy goats, and we got a load of rescued chickens, and yeah, it's been really nice actually bringing these chickens more or less back to, all got full plumage now, and they're turning out eggs every day. We've got more eggs than we can handle, so it's just nice. Al, thanks for all your great content. Really enjoyed them. Any thoughts on form, foot strike that works for you? Yeah, foot strike. I mean, I used to be having mega flat feet. I've dabbled with lots of different stuff, from minimal shoes to, big heel, all sorts of different stuff. And my go-to now is, foot strike underneath the body, on the midsole. And then if I'm sprinting or doing any other kind of work, then up on the toes. But avoid heel strikes at all costs. One, it's inefficient, and 2, whenever I used to heel strike, I was absolutely plagued by injury. So I know from moving to and I did a lot of work of this with Cy Dix, my coach, that mid foot strike underneath the body, head up tall, chest out. That's kind of what works for me. In years gone by, if anybody has run with me in the past, they would probably be like, why is this guy up on his toes? Because, I did spend a lot of time running up on my toes at one point, and that just tightened up and blew out my calves over the space of a couple of years. But hopefully that answers your question, Al. Let me have a little drink. Top 3 tips for running an ultra marathon. If you're a beginner, one is, don't get carried away with the event. It's very easy to set off really quick and blow yourself out. You definitely need to be going a little bit slower and be a little bit wiser about what you're doing with regards to your pace. So that'd be the first one. 2 would be test everything. Your kit, your food, nutrition, your hydration plan. Just test it all. You don't have to get mega anal about numbers and figures unless figures are your thing. But definitely test everything, because the slightest seam in the wrong place can just cause you absolute agony and pain. Not understanding how to perhaps tape your feet, understanding where you develop hot spots, knowing, how many calories you need to be consuming an hour if you fuel yourself that way. So that's 2. So test everything. And 3 would be make the most of the easy miles, which is something that was said to me really early on in like doing the running. And it's a really important thing when the miles are easy. Just get your head up, look around, and just take it all in, because you're not there to put yourself in a shitty hole. You're there for the experience of it all. So look around, make sure you see things. And another thing to do is look around and look at other people, because nothing cheers you up more when you're suffering than seeing someone else suffer more than you. And there's always someone worse off. So really make the most of those easy miles, because in an ultra marathon, you're going to have enough shitty miles. So they're 3 that I've kind of plugged out the air. Jim, great question. So hopefully that answers your question. Alex is saying thanks and a thumbs up. Cheers, mate. Ben, what do you do to recover? How many rest days, etc.? Yeah, so this is a tough one for me to answer, because, like I said, I don't run quite as much as you guys probably think I run. I don't. After the big events, I tend to have a real period of post-event depression. I don't know if anyone has that as well, like post-event blues. And I definitely drop and don't want to run again. If Quinny's still watching, he'll know what I'm talking about. We both put ourselves in places where it's like, why have I done it to myself again? Why have I put myself, I'm never going to run again. I'm going to start bloody kayaking or stand-up paddleboarding or whatever. And afterwards, it's a good couple of weeks before I'm doing anything of any real distance or intensity. And then I'm quite slow. And then I kind of move into like a maintenance phase where I'm doing a bit of like different types of cross training and that kind of stuff until I'm about 12 to 6 weeks away from a big event. And then I start getting much more specific. Rest days, I do a thing, this might be quite interesting actually for some of you. So I do a thing every morning that I call the mesh test. So this is something I've come up myself. And basically it's a way of checking in with yourself to know whether you want to be working in just as much as you need to be working out. Okay, we all want to go and work out because we feel we're making massive progress and getting fitter and all that. But actually there are days when you need to do a bit of working in. So a little bit of yoga, meditation, even a rest day, like a duvet day, or just ease back on the mileage, ease back on the intensity or whatever. So the mesh test, basically 4 things, and I score it out of 5. So M is mood. What is my mood like? I've not got it in this little diary here, but I have my little training diary. In the top right-hand corner, I have the mesh test. Okay, what is my mood like? First thing in the morning, how is it? Is it low? Is it sort of average, or am I in good spirits? So I'll score that out of 5, 1 being pants, 5 being amazing. E is the energy. What is my energy level? Sometimes I can have a low mood, but I'm relatively high in energy, so I'm scoring that again. S is stress. And it's not just physical stress that I'm feeling, it's stress in my life. What is going on? Today I had a meeting with building control, and it's freaking stressful because I thought they were going to shut my business down and bloody tell me to put, all this kind of stuff. So I measured, the stress that's going on in my life and kind of what's happening. And then H is health. So you can have a really good mood, high in energy, not a great deal of stress, but you might have a sore throat, which could be an indication that you just need to pull back a little bit. So I do the mesh test every morning, total the score up. If it's like 14, 15 or above, I'm going to hammer training that day. If it's sort of 8 to 13, I'm just going to go nice and steady, because my body's telling me that I just need to pull back a little bit and I need to, ease off. And if it's below 8, I'm not putting any pressure on myself at all to do anything, because 9 times out of 10, it's counterproductive anyway. So that's kind of how I play it. I don't, back in the last years of getting ready for the 100 miler, I followed a program, and there was a couple of rest days every week, if I remember rightly. But I still employed the mesh test, and even if I had like a 20 miler scheduled that day, then I'd be like, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to miss that today and whatever. And so hopefully that answers your question. Rest is incredibly important, and we don't do enough of it as bloody endurance athletes. What are your thoughts about doing 100 miler solo loops close to home? Perhaps I think that could be a good challenge without the crew. Yeah, I think 100 miler solo, I mean, that's tough. You need to make sure your head is sorted out before you take on something like that, I think. But, in my opinion, for me, if I had done 100 miler solo, I'm not sure how it had gone down, because there were times when I really lent on the team, and the team picked me up. So yeah, that's definitely tough, but it is something that I want to do. Loops close to your home. I mean, it's real common for people to drop out at checkpoints because it's quite easy and comfortable. You know what I mean? If you can get yourself out of the checkpoint, you're much less likely to drop out. And I think every time you pass your home, it's like, you know what, this is hurting now, and I could just nip home now and call it a day. Sometimes you've got to make it really hard for yourself to jack it in. So practically, very good. Psychologically, you're gonna have to weigh that up. But it'd be a good challenge. Definitely a good challenge. I know a YouTube channel, Adam Lucas. I don't know if anyone watches him. He had something similar. He was doing like, I think he was doing like 30 mile loops around his home, and he got to a point, fair enough, he had horrific conditions and picked up a niggle, but he got to his house and he was like, right, I'm calling it a day. And I think, I think it is quite tough. But if you do it, let me know. Be quite interested to hear how you get on. Nicola, you warned me about post race blues. Yeah, it's the thing. It is a thing. Like, whack you. Also, are there any ultra races in the UK you've done that you'd recommend? Yeah, I've done a few good ones in the UK. Like I mentioned one earlier on called the Highland Ultra. This is the first year of it running by a company called Beyond the Ultimate, and it is going to be stunning. This race team just incredible. They're putting some incredible events, some of the best in the world, and they're running one in Scotland now, called in Knoydart, which is probably the UK's last real wilderness. Just phenomenal race. So I'd really recommend that. Other than that, a lot of them are much the same. I'm doing some ultras this year in the UK, and I'm going to film them and kind of review some of them. I am an ambassador for the Beautifully Brutal race crew. They've got some incredible events over in Anglesey. The Penlyn Ultra is a really good one. I'd definitely have a look at that. It's quite cheeky, but you do get some UTMB points for it. So have a look at that. But I'm interested to know what your recommendations are. Callum's, hi mate, I want to join the Marines after my A levels. Do you recommend it? Why did you leave? I left. It's a bit complex, really, but I left because for me, I was really struggling. I was really struggling psychologically. And not everybody did. There's a whole load of reasons behind that, which, it doesn't mean you join the Marines and you leave a freaking idiot. Would I recommend it? 100%. 100%. It's a great life. The Royal Marines, if you know right now, are going through what is probably one of the most pivotal changes that they have made in modern times. And it is going to be really, really exciting times in the Marines. So, yeah, I 100% recommend it. I've actually got a book about joining the Royal Marines. I think I've got one here. If you can reach out, Callum, I'll send you a copy, called The Bootneck Blueprint. It's a little bit out of date now, which is why I'm more than willing to send you a copy. We just talk a little bit about the mindset of joining the Marines and stuff. So, go for it. And I'm glad to hear you getting your A levels done first as well. I did exactly the same thing. I tried to join at 16 and they said, look, you've got a chance of doing some A levels and maybe playing a bit of rugby. Go and do that and then join the Marines. And at the time I was like, for fuck's sake, I just want to join the Marines, but I'm glad it did. I'm glad it did do that. So good on you, Callum. By the way, once you get down there, give us a shout if you want any tips or help or just a freaking shoulder to cry on or whatever. What running do you watch? I've had a few different running watches over the years. My sort of go-to watch at the minute, purely for one reason, is the Garmin Fenix 6 Pro Solar. It's the solar aspect is the reason why I got this. I've had a couple of different Suntos, I've had a couple of different Garmins, and they just never lasted long enough in some of the multi-day, multi-stage events that I've done. So I wanted something that lasted really longer. And I know there's a couple I think like there's a Chorus watch now that like something like 120 hours or something like that. But I wanted the extended battery life, which is why I got this. And I've got to say, I absolutely love it. And I know it's pricey. I got mine on eBay, so it was a little bit cheaper. But I've absolutely battered this. I really, really have. And there's not a single scratch on the face. The bezel is a little bit battered, but yeah, absolutely love it. What about you, Jim? Have you done the UTMB? Would you, if you haven't? Yeah, I would give it a go. I don't feel compelled to do it because it feels like a race. I'm not a racer, I'm not really one to compete with a load of elite runners like that. I'm much more of a go to a shitty environment that will happily kick you in the nuts and run across it, kind of adventure type runner, really. So I don't feel compelled to do it, but I would do it. I mean, some of the scenery out there, phenomenal, you know, and to see some of these athletes, these elites, just skipping over the terrain like bloody Bambi would be absolutely magical and phenomenal. So yeah, it's definitely got to be on there as like something definitely to go and have a look at, or to crew, or, you know, support someone on there. A good friend of mine actually is aiming for do UTMB, so it'd be good to go out and sort of support him. But other than that, I don't feel compelled to do that. Okay, guys, thank you very much. Like I said, for joining us. We've done over an hour now. Like I said, I'm going to do a daily live like this every day for the next 10 days whilst I'm doing this current challenge, just to keep you updated and what have you. And you'll see me like wither away as the days go by. But you know, I was shocked at how many people have been on, and the questions that people have asked. I love kind of helping people and giving my little bits of input, whether you take it on board or not. So having the opportunity to do that has been really, really good. So until the next time, thanks again, and take care. Look after yourself.